Welcome to part 2 of the Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1000 Desert Race. Following a grueling and demanding opening 2 days which saw some intense battles throughout the field, day 3 is poised for even more thrills and spills.
Botswana opened their doors once again and welcomed us with open arms to their beautiful and vibrant country.
Toyota Desert Race has actually stimulated enthusiasm for spectators and the love for motorsport in the country. And it is the race that actually popularized motorsport in Botswana.
In an enthralling production vehicle battle, Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie finished in first place ahead of teammates Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy, who came extremely close to the lead on several occasions.
Gary Bertholdt and Siegfried Rousseau bagged their first points of the season with a third place finish, ahead of the flying Heini Strumpf and Henry Hicho, who took fourth overall and first spots in Class S.
In one of the drives of the day, Desert rookies Gareth Woolridge and Boyd Dreyer came home in fifth, followed by Jürgen and Max Schroeder from Regent Racing.
After starting in 12th, Jason Venter and Vince van Alleman fought their way up the field to finish in 7th place, while last season's championship runners-up, Johannes van der Hoorn, took 8th.
Jacques and Lizelle van Tonder finished in 9th ahead of Dion Venter and Jaco van Aert, who collected their first points for the season with a top 10 and second in Class S.
You know, Anthony kept us honest. The first stage, the first loop, he was very quick. We had to find the road in the new section. But we almost had like some circuit racing, going on between us there. But the second loop was a bit easier, more open, and we managed to just keep him behind us and score the win.
With the marathon event offering double points, this is what the latest production vehicle standings look like. Poulter and Howie remain unbeaten, while Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable have lost ground to the Toyotas following their non-scoring finish.
In the special vehicle category, Evan Hutchison and Dani Stassen started the day in second position, but once they made their way into the lead, the Motor White Racing team never looked back.
After outgunning their more powerful Class A rivals in qualifying, Colin Matthews and Rodney Burke took second overall and first in Class P.
It was a great day out in the challenging terrain for Century Racing after Mark Corbett and Joan Moore brought their CR5 home in third place behind their teammates.
Lance Trethewey and Jeff Minott lost some ground to Hutchinson and Stassen in the championship fight after finishing in fourth place.
It was a solid fifth place for Brett Parker and VZ van Sale from Sizanani Plastics ahead of local driver Keith Dutoy and South African navigator Robbie Kutsia, who took sixth place even though they had a damaged clutch.
Keith Makanete and Moalosi Boroto finished in 7th place ahead of Sorrel van Biljon and Philip Herselman in the Atlas Copco Bat Spec 5, who rounded off the top 8.
We were a bit slow this morning in the tight stuff and a few of the buckies got past us, and as it opened up the last one got past us, so we were stuck behind them and we were quite a lot quicker, so it was a little bit frustrating. We just sat in dust the whole day. There was not much we could do about it. It was difficult to pass, and on the second lap a few things changed. We managed to get past a few of those buckies and open up a bit of a lead, and in passing the last one, which was Gary, we got past Colin at the same time, which was a bit of a luck. So I think the racing gods were looking after us.
Hutchison and Stassen have opened up a 15-point gap at the top of the special vehicle standings following their victory on day 2. Trethewey and Minott remain in second spot, while Parker and Van Sale narrowly hold on to third.
The teams were blessed with a picturesque sunset, but they didn't have too much time to take in the views, as they were already hard at work repairing any damage they might have sustained to their vehicles. 2 punishing 210-kilometer loops lay ahead for the competitors on their third and final day of racing in Botswana.
Tomorrow is a normal point scoring race as all other events, so the guys will be busy late, unfortunately rebuilding it, making sure that everything is prepared for tomorrow. But it's part of the task, eh?
While it might be a long night for some teams, others got away a bit luckier, as Graham Thornton from Regent Racing explains.
We got a few gearbox issues and obviously a lot of bodywork with all the low-hanging trees and things, so end up preparing more bodywork than anything else. But other than that, the cars are looking good. Obviously our terrain's a lot rougher and more like tighter corners and things like that, whereas the Dakar's more open stretches. Slightly different when you add in the dunes and all this thick sand, which we're not really used to in our championship. But very different, but at the same time our championship's a good testing ground for the cars, because if they can handle our terrain, I think they're pretty strong and can handle anything.
A fresh and misty morning greeted the competitors on the third and final day of racing at the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. Can Taylor and Murphy catch their Team Castrol Toyota teammates, or will Poulter and Howie leave round 3 with a full house of points? Or is there a chance for Berthold and Rousseau to spoil the Toyota party in the Atlas Copco Ford Ranger?
We're the first Ford on the road, so this Atlas Copco Ranger's got a lot of work cut out for it. We seem to be 9 minutes behind the Toyotas, so hopefully we can either make up some time or hold our station. I think it's going to be difficult to make up time, but it's going to be a tight day today, so very interesting. Full 500 Ks ahead of us. Looking forward to it. Get this Atlas Copco Ranger to the podium.
A bit concerned about Mark behind us, so we don't want to hold him up at all. So if he manages to catch us, we're going to let him have a crack at Everett.
Teams will start in their finishing positions from day 2. Poulter and Howie will lead the production vehicles out ahead of teammates Taylor and Murphy, while Hutchison and Stassen will be the car to catch in the special vehicle category.
And away they go, wheels spinning off the line. Even though the weather isn't great, it hasn't stopped the thousands of fans from flocking to the start line to support their favourite teams.
And just moments later, it's Taylor and Murphy who are hot on the heels of their teammates.
We go on board with the championship leaders at approximately 20 kilometers into the day's racing. The car is suddenly snaking from side to side, and now it has come to a complete halt. Is this the end of Poulter and Howie's race?
Well, Team Castrol Toyota teammates Taylor and Murphy are obviously the first vehicle on the scene as they slow down to find out if anything serious might have happened. But after receiving the all okay from Poulter and Howie, the defending champions are back on their way. But let's see if we can find out what's going on.
What happened?
We don't know yet, but
It stuck there, right?
no, it just stopped here in the track, so we're just going to have a look with it.
The next team to pass the stricken Toyota are Hutchinson and Stassen, who proceed with caution.
After an outing in the new Century Racing CRT last time out, Matthews and Burke are back to what they know best in their Century Racing CR3. Burke holds up his hand and shows his appreciation to the fans who are lined up for hundreds of meters along this fast and narrow part of the course.
The route is very different from the one that the competitors raced the previous day, which is keeping everyone on their toes. Corbett and Moore are very closely followed by the production vehicle of Berthold and Rousseau, who have picked up the pace.
Corbett and Moore are slowing down. Do they have a problem? Well, luckily there's no issue. Corbett is sportingly making way for the much quicker Berthold and Rousseau in the Atlas Copco Ford Ranger.
Trethewey and Minute have been slightly off the pace the entire weekend, but are now in full attack mode as they attempt to close the gap to the front 3.
The Team Castrol Toyota of Poulter and Howie are back on their way after reporting a broken brake caliper. The pair have lost around 20 minutes and have now dropped to 3rd place.
Desert 1000 rookies Woolridge and Dreyer are having the drive of their lives in the testing conditions. The pair have moved up 1 place in the production vehicle category after getting past Strumpfer and Hicho, although the 4x4 Megawall Toyota still leads the field in Class S.
Well, I think some of these fans must be crazy as they try to get the best picture. They rarely leave it late when getting out of the way of the incredibly quick Regent Racing Nissan Navara.
It's the first time this season that Jürgen and Max Schroeder are competing together, and it seems to be working brilliantly. The duo have almost been inseparable from Brett Parker and VZ Van Zyl for the entire race, as the Cincinnati Plastics Jimco throws it sideways through this corner.
Johan and Werner Horn have made up 1 position as they aim to get their season back on track after a disappointing opening 2 rounds.
After losing a position to the Horn brothers, Fenter and Van Alleman are pushing extremely hard, and they make light work of the deep sand around this bend.
Jacques and Lizelle van Tonder made the step up to Class T this year. The difference between the two is that Class T accommodates vehicles with engines above 4 litres and independent rear suspension, while Class S caters for cars with engines up to 4 litres and solid rear suspension.
With the route having very tight and twisty sections, the bodywork of the vehicles are bound to take a beating, and we can see that Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson have had a run-in with something along the way.
As we go on board the Region Racing Nissan Navara, you get the perfect view to see just how demanding and tough this desert route really is.
Botswana local Keith the Toy finished on the podium in 2013, and alongside his new South African navigator, the pair are pushing hard to try and repeat that result. But oh my goodness, I think I've just put the commentator's curse on them. Just as I say how good they are looking, the White Star Bat is forced to pull over.
We saw a flash of yellow when we were on board with Totoy and Kutsia. It was Makaneti and Baroto who pick up a cloud of dust and sand through the corner.
Consistency is paramount in such a punishing and harsh environment. Sorrel van Biljon and Philip Harselman have been keeping their noses clean and are on course to score some points.
Marius Roberts is becoming a familiar face around the paddock. This is the 3rd time that the TV presenter is taking part in the Imperial Auto Celebrity Challenge. It seems he's been bitten by the racing bug, and we'll surely see him alongside Terence Marsh again soon.
After starting the day way down in 17th position in the production vehicle category, Woolridge and Huxtable have already made up 5 positions and are on the charge.
The Ford Performance duo sit just ahead of Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger, who make sure that they come to a complete halt at the stop and go as not to receive any unnecessary penalties.
Pre-season favourites Dion Venter and Jaco van Aert must have been relieved to score their first points of the season on day 2. The pair are looking good in second in Class S, ahead of the Portuguese duo Romalo Branco and Joao Serodio, who are on their way to another podium finish.
A fierce battle has been raging over the entire race distance between the Boshoff brothers and the new Century Racing prepared CRTs. Jean and co-driver Alan Kayser are currently ahead of Ian and his co-driver Martin Hermida as they disappear in a plume of dust.
Taylor and Murphy have taken full advantage of the misfortunes of their teammates and are comfortably holding on to first place at the 80-kilometre mark. Berthold and Rousseau are in second, while Poulter and Howie round off the top 3.
In the special vehicle category, Hutchison and Stassen are looking strong in first place, followed by Matthews and Burke, who are chasing hard.
Taylor and Murphy haven't put a foot wrong yet. Are they going to make it a hat-trick of wins in the desert?
Hutchison and Stassen won't pop the champagne just yet. They know all too well how your luck can change in an instant after their car caught fire just 3 kilometres from the finish line when they were in the same position last year.
Having started the weekend on 0 points, Berthold and Rousseau have a real chance to lead Botswana with 41 points if they can hold on to second place. It just goes to show how the punishing desert race can either make or break a season.
The Atlas Copco Ford Ranger is being hounded by the smaller Class P vehicle of Matthews and Burke, who have the bit between their teeth. And appearing like gorillas in the mist, it's Corbett and Moore who are busy catching their teammates.
We go live on board with Matthews and Burke, and we're having real trouble seeing what's going on with all of this dust. Oh, why, thank you, Rodney. That's much better. Oh no, Matthews was clearly having a problem seeing the route through the dust clouds, and they've gone off track.
Luckily for Matthews, he's kept the engine running and they managed to get their Century Racing CR3 back on the road before making their way onto the correct route. But something is wrong. It's going from bad to worse for the pair, who are forced to pull over and assess the damage.
It might be bad news for Matthews and Burke, but it's good news for Trathui and Minute, who now move into a podium position.
Poulter and Howie are still driving with brakes on, only 3 wheels, but they're holding on to third as they pass the stricken Matthews and Burke.
He may only be 21 years old, but Gareth Woolridge is driving like a veteran in the desert. But let's see how he handles the pressure from Strumpfer and Hicho, who are pushing their 4x4 Megaworld Toyota to the limits.
Venter and Van Alleman have been reporting that their car is seriously overheating. Hopefully they can make it back to DSP for a proper inspection.
The Region Racing Nissan Navara might be missing a front light, a side mirror and some bodywork because of the challenging landscape, but it isn't slowing down Jurgen and Max Schroeder one bit.
Many of the competitors have the dream of taking part in the Dakar Rally, the world's toughest race, and that is why the Botswana Desert is the perfect place to test yourself to the limits in the harsh and strenuous conditions.
Jacques and Lizelle van Tonda have been very consistent so far as they give these fans a souvenir, a face full of sand. As we go live on board the Unifreight Ford Ranger, you can see just how deep the ruts of sand have become, making it extremely difficult to navigate. The duo passed the broken down special vehicle of Parker and Van Zyl, who had to retire with a broken clutch.
Well, it's really turning into a race of attrition at the moment, and for that reason, Van Biljon and Herselman now find themselves in 4th place.
The Transnet Bats of Makanete and Boroto are currently in 5th place and will be hoping to score points for the first time this season.
Johan van Staden told us that this event is not for the faint at heart. We'll take your word for it, Johan.
The Region Racing duo are being closely chased by De Klerk and Smallberger in the RFS BMW X3.
The Class S battle is intensifying by the minute as second-placed Venter and Van Aert are barely managing to hold off the assault from Branco and Serodio, who are using this year's championship as a training ground for the Dakar Rally in 2016.
Woolridge and Huxtable are still trying to claw back the time they lost on day 2 following a broken drive shaft.
Desert racing veteran Richard Carolyn, who won the race 20 years ago, is now in 1st place in Class P, but it won't be smooth sailing to the finish as John Thompson and Marisa Matten are in hot pursuit.
Piet Kotze and Davy Lange are in 5th place in Class S and are en route to score some points for the first time in 2015.
Freddie and Sune Creel dig their nose through the deep rutted sand tracks in their Unifreight Ford Ranger.
It's been a race to forget for Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst, but at least they are still fighting, unlike the stranded Boshoff and Kaiser who were forced to retire.
Poulter and Howie have managed to make it back to DSP. Will they be able to fix their brake caliper and challenge for the victory?
Just before the quarry we broke the right front caliper mount, so had to wrestle the wheel off and get the caliper off, and then we've spent the whole 200 k's or whatever, 190 k's with brakes on 3 wheels, so we've been struggling a little bit, and with not having the brakes running wide, a little bit getting stuck here and there, but otherwise we're pushing on.
Well, let's hope that the Team Castrol Toyota crew will be able to fix the problem.
Another vehicle that looks worse for wear is the Ford Performance Ranger of Woolridge and Huxtable, but they have made up time on their rivals.
We made up 15 places, we got really going nicely, and then got a puncture and went through a bush. Damaged the car a bit when the exhaust pipe started to melt against the rubber tyre underneath. So it became a problem, so we had to remove that. It took us 15 minutes.
Taking a look at the results following the opening loop. Taylor and Murphy have a comfortable lead over Berthold and Rousseau, while Poulter and Howie will be on the charge from 3rd place, having fixed their brake caliper.
Force Fuel is the official sponsor of the championship, but because we're in Botswana, Puma Energy supplied fuel for the race weekend.
This time around, what we have done is we've sponsored with fuel worth about 200,000, about 26,000 litres of ULP95, which is a high grade, and we have actually recently introduced it to a lot of our retail sites throughout the country.
Hutchinson and Stassen are the first of the specials to arrive at DSP.
Yeah, it's a bit tight. I think it suits the pickups a little bit more than us, so we're battling a lot of the tight stuff, so you can't really get going. It doesn't suit the cars, but we've kept in the front, we kept it clean, car's still good. So we're just going to try and do one more of those without getting a puncture, and we'll be okay.
In second place, it's Corberton Moore from Century Racing.
We had a bit of trouble in the morning. We managed to get past Colin. And now it's all about chasing Evan down. Let's see if we can pass him in the last 120 Ks.
The stage is set for a grandstand finale in the special vehicle category. Can Corberton Moore catch Hutchison and Stassen, or will Trethewey and Minute be able to upstage their two rivals ahead of them?
We pick up the leaders at the 210-kilometre mark. There is something hanging off the back of their vehicle. Oh well, if it's dead weight and you don't need it, simply get rid of it.
Hutchison and Stassen will be hoping they don't run into any issues in the closing salvos like they did last year.
Meanwhile, Trethewey and Minute have closed right up on Corberton Moore. Can the Century Racing team hold on until they see the checkered flag?
Many of the vehicles are carrying battle scars from the marathon event, and Berthold and Rousseau lost around 3 minutes changing a broken windscreen at DSP.
Showing very little signs of slowing down, Holter and Howie are blazing across the desert sand.
Woolridge and Dreyer are on track for the best finish of their careers. There's a bright future in the championship for these two, that's for sure.
It's been a good weekend for Strumpfer and Hicho, who are reveling in the tight and sandy conditions.
The Schroders lost 3rd, 5th and 6th gear in the opening loop, but this doesn't seem to be slowing down the Regent Racing Nissan Navara one bit.
If you thought that the route was tough earlier, just take a look at it now. Jacques van Tonde has to wrestle the vehicle around this exceptionally deep track that has formed throughout the day's racing. The Unifreight Ford Ranger is in 8th place overall.
After limping into the DSP with a flat tyre, Van Viljoen and Hasselman got back up to speed during Loop 2 and are holding on to 4th spot.
As the competitors near the finish line, reliability becomes a major concern in the punishing conditions in the desert. Behind the Transnet bats of Makanete and Boroto is the Regent Racing Nissan Navara of Van Staden and Lawrenson. You can see how bad the visibility is and how hard it is to really see through the dust clouds.
Well, speaking of reliability, Makanete and Boroto have been forced to retire from the race with a blown engine.
Here you can see just how fast these cars are flying across the desert as our helicopter struggles to keep up with Venter and Van Aert.
Romano Branco admitted that he wasn't particularly enjoying their day and noted how difficult the route had been. But it doesn't really show because the Portuguese duo are currently in 3rd place in Class S and 10th overall in the production vehicle category.
Both Class S cars have made their way past de Klerk and Smallberger, who in his own words had a little run-in with the tree. The pair are beginning to slow down, but there isn't a problem. They're only making way for the Toyota Hilux of Kotze and Lange.
We remain on board the RFS BMW X3 and there's definitely something wrong with the car. And they're forced to pull over, which is going to cost them valuable time.
Richard Carolyn and Andrew Massey are in for a fairy tale finish if they can hold on to 1st place in Class P.
We've been seeing a whole lot more of the orange Toyota Hilux of Kotze and Lange. The duo are putting in a strong showing on day 3 and have moved up into 4th position in Class S.
Thompson and Zamatin are in 2nd place in Class P and are catching the Unifreight Ford Ranger of Freddie and Sune Creel, who have reported a loss of power. Will they be able to make it to the finish though?
The Labuschaghnis broke a throttle cable close to the end of the opening loop, but after making running repairs, the Chem Systems Porter has had no problems in the 2nd loop.
The Ford Performance team won't go down without a fight, and Visser and Bardenos have battled their way up the field into 9th place in Class T.
Thousands of fans are showing their support for the competitors in the final stretch of the event. And it's Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy who take the checkered flag.
Recapping your final results, it was Taylor and Murphy who took top honours ahead of Berthold and Rousseau, who held on to second by the skin of their teeth. Poulter and Howe closed an 11-minute gap down to a mere 14 seconds to finish third. And now it's time for the champagne.
Poulter and Howie still lead the way in the championship with 108 points, followed by teammates Taylor and Murphy, who have closed the gap to the leaders. Berthold and Rousseau catapult themselves into third, following a disappointing weekend for Ford Performance.
Hutchinson and Stassen have exercised the demons from 2014 and they crossed the line in first place.
Having a look at the final results, it was a tough day for the special vehicles as only 6 competitors made it across the finish line. Hutchison and Stassen secured top spot ahead of Corbett and Moore, who enjoyed their first podium of the season, while Trethewey and Minute rounded off the top 3.
After an almost perfect weekend, Hutchinson and Stassen topped the Special Vehicle Championship standings. The Motorride Racing team enjoy a 27-point lead over Trethewey and Minute, while Corbett and Moore have moved up into third place at the expense of Parker and Van Sale.
What an experience, what these cars are put through, what they do, amazing. And great camaraderie in the pits as well. I think that's what you're buying into here, is you're having fun out there on the route, but you have a great time chatting to the guys afterwards as well.
Make sure that you don't miss all the excitement and enthralling racing that awaits us at the Nkomazi 450, round 4 of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship.
The Donaldson Filtration Systems, a market leader in filtration solutions for the past 100 years.